The energy system in the UK is made up of a number of different companies that have a lot of different responsibilities. We're a distribution network company, so we transmit the electricity from the national grid, who operates the national grid up and down the country. We take that electricity from the national grid and pass it down through our wires through to the homes and businesses through a number of different voltage levels, from 132,000 all the way down to the 240 volts that we see in different properties. So as a distribution network company, we don't actually directly charge electricity to customers. All that money is recouped by suppliers. So the likes of the big six electricity companies, they directly bill customers, and a small percentage of that will go back to the network costs. So that's both transmission and distribution costs as well. The generation companies traditionally were very large centralised plants, so big coal-fired power stations and nuclear power stations. But increasingly, as we've seen the generation mix in the UK change, then this has meant that a lot of the generation is now connected onto the distribution network, and that's had quite a lot of changes and influences on the way that we operate our network. So traditionally, the large power stations were a mixture of baseload power stations that supplied energy 24/7 throughout the day on a constant basis, and these power stations were very efficient and economic, and they produced the power across the whole of the day. In between, as the demand picks up and the requirement for more energy and more power increases, then we had things like gas turbines and some of the pumped hydro stations being able to flow electricity back onto the network at a very quick response. And those ramping up and down helped balance the network. And all that control and the operation of those power stations is undertaken by the transmission system operator. So in the UK, that is National Grid, and they ensure that there is a sufficient amount of generation on the network to balance with the demand. What we've started to see now is a more significant amount of embedded generation, particularly renewables, which is very intermittent in nature, and this can ramp up and down and can change the way that the profile of energy that is generated. So because demand isn't always there when the generation from renewables is there, then it's a much harder job for the transmission system operator to balance the electricity.